So a couple of days ago, Venerable Lama gave a talk about delayed gratification and immediate gratification. And she talked about immediate gratification in terms of, your Dharma practice. And I had always thought of Dharma practice as delayed gratification in the sense that, we're working towards a full awakening, and we're working towards the happiness of opening our heart to others and so forth. And in the meantime, there's certain things that we don't do now, and we have to rein in our attachment and our arrogance and our anger and things like that. So I always thought of it as, delayed gratification. You get the happy results when when you get realizations. And she was putting it in a way that His Holiness put it. And I realized that what His Holiness was doing and what she was doing is you're taking a situation and you're flipping it, okay? So that the happiness of restraining ourselves from, saying certain things that would automatically come out of our mouths. That can be difficult sometimes to restrain, but that brings a certain level of happiness with it. So to see that kind of restraint of our physical and verbal actions, instead of as the difficulty of reining our energy in, to see it as the happiness of avoiding problems. Yeah, because when we act and speak impulsively, we usually, what we're doing is we're bringing on a lot of problems to ourselves, you know. And so similarly, the whole thing of certain restraint that we practice as practitioners, it builds self-confidence, and that self-confidence is a kind of immediate gratification that we get. Yeah, because when we're able to have some control over our actions and make wise decisions instead of just being impetuous and, oh, I feel like doing this, who cares what happens? We develop some kind of self-confidence to be able to manage our lives in a wise way. And that brings a certain kind of happiness. And then also, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama always says, he says, when I'm compassionate to somebody else, it's not that person who gets the happiness, it's me. Yeah. And usually you think, when somebody else practices compassion, it's the person who's on the receiving end of the compassion that gets the good stuff, and the person who's being compassionate who gives up something, to be kind to somebody else. And he says, no, it's exactly the opposite. Because when you're compassionate to somebody, you don't know whether they're going to accept your help, your good wishes, or your compassion, or anything. But the giving of compassion, the opening of our hearts to others itself is something that brings happiness within ourselves. So he says, I'm the chief beneficiary of my compassion. Okay, so, in the same way, when we have to practice restraint, we're the chief beneficiary. Well, others really benefit when we practice restraint too, don't they? Yeah, so maybe it's equal benefit there, They benefit from not being the victim of our anger and our harsh words and our jealousy. And we, receive the benefit of building self-confidence in our ability to make good decisions, and the happiness that comes from knowing that we have avoided pain, creating pain for other people. Okay, so for anybody else who had previously, like me, seen the path of restraint as kind of delayed gratification, here's how you flip it so it becomes the immediate gratification. Yeah. Although I still think it's very helpful for us to develop the patience and fortitude for delayed gratification. Yeah, it's very helpful in our lives to not have the samsaric need for to be praised every time we do something, if we're having people comment on how well we do something, or the neediness to be recognized, and all that kind of stuff. Because Dharma practice is not going to really feed that very much. Yeah, because that's all the 8 worldly concerns. So, relinquishing that is delayed gratification, unless you say, oh, good, now I'm recovering from the 8 worldly concerns. I'm not going to be so trapped and, trapped by the mind of the 8 worldly concerns that wants the immediate gratification of sense pleasure and praise and approval and reputation and possessions and status and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so just something to chew on a little bit. Yeah, she gave a talk yesterday about monastics being like giraffes and cows, and do deer, huh? Yeah, deer also, yes, who chew their cuds. Yeah, just as we ruminate on all of our faults and everything that isn't going the way we want it to go, which is instant misery. Yeah, not delayed misery. It's actually both. Yeah, it's instant misery, and it creates the cause for delayed misery as well. So let's see how we can flip our mind and create more happiness for self and others.